Hey, what's up guys? Pattycakes here, again with another Master Lost Sector guide. This time we're over on Europa in the Bunker E15 Lost Sector. Now if you're doing this today, it has a chance to drop exotic gloves, but keep in mind that every day these do rotate, so depending on which day you're attempting it, you might get a different reward. The modifiers for this one are Barrier and Overload, so you're going to need stuff to deal with both those types of champions. And then today, this one has Attrition. I don't know if that's always the case or just today, but it's one of my least favorite modifiers and it does make this one a little bit tough. But if you stick with the strategy, I think you'll be able to clear it just fine. By the way, if you like these Lost Sector guides, I've actually created a playlist where I'll have all 5 of them from Europa and Cosmodrome. So be sure to check that out if you want to see more of them. So let's get started with the weapons first and then we'll talk about the armor. Now there's quite a few ways to do this one. Part of my goal of this series is to show you that there's a lot of different setups that can work. This is just one potential example that can work well, but there's a lot of different ways that you can clear this. So starting in the kinetic slot, we have the Transfiguration Scout Rifle. This one comes from the Last Wish raid. I don't know if it's totally true or not, but some people have told me that explosive payload on this can allow the overload shots to actually proc twice, so maybe it'll allow those overload shots to be a little bit more effective against the champions. For our energy slot, we're using the Trophy Hunter Sniper Rifle. This is an older one, and if you don't have it around, it's totally fine. There's quite a few different options here. The reason I picked this one is that it's a void weapon, and there are some Minotaurs with void shields that we need to take care of, so I thought it was a cool option to try it out. For our heavy slot, we're using the Lament Sword. This is a new one from Beyond Light. It's pretty easy and straightforward to get, you just need to follow a quest. And the neat thing about this sword is that it comes with the option to become an anti-barrier weapon when you rev up the sword by holding your block first and then dealing damage. This is going to be really helpful against those anti-barrier hobgoblins. For the armor, I'm running double sword ammo finder for my helmet with radiant light. On the gloves, we have Scout Rifle loader, overload rounds, and protective light. Now what's interesting here is that since we have anti-barrier on our Lament sword, we actually only need the overload rounds on our Scout Rifle, not the anti-barrier like you typically have in our other setups. For our chest, we're using Dragon Shadow again. I was trying it out with arc and sniper damage resist, but I think there's a couple different setups that might make the most sense here. Since you're going with the sword, melee damage resist does kind of help. I find arc to be most effective in the first room, and then after that, the value kind of goes down a bit. But you can play around and see what works best for you. We're also using high energy fire, which gives us extra damage anytime we're charged with light. For our boots, we're running the Sword Scavenger mod as well as Lucent Blade. This one's really cool. On top of giving you extra sword damage, it also increases the charge rate for your sword, as long as you have another arc mod equipped somewhere in your build. And that's one of the reasons that we have Radiant Light slotted in our helmet, because that actually is an arc mod that will also proc our Lucent Blade as well as giving us that extra strength. For our class item, we're using the combo of Thermal Overload as well as Surge Eater, more on that in a second, as well as Taking Charge. Taking Charge is what allows us to become charged with light anytime we pick up an Orb of Power. Now for these two, these actually both come from the seasonal artifact. That's this one and this one. Now the way this works is that anytime we're using a solar or stasis grenade and we throw it on top of an overload champion, it's going to instantly disrupt them. And then because we disrupt them when we're running Surge Eater, we also get that grenade back. So it's a really cool loop. You can keep throwing those grenades as long as you keep disrupting a champion. Now if you don't have any of these weapons, that's totally fine. There's quite a few other options that will work well. One of the options that seemed to work pretty well for me was to run the Fallen Guillotine Sword to take care of our void damage, and then putting on the Ariana's Vow to take care of our anti-barrier. The catch here is that we lost a little bit of damage from our sniper rifle on the boss, but it's still a pretty good setup and it's really effective for killing the hobgoblins. Another good option if you wanted to either use the Xenophage or the Anarchy would be to switch Ariana's over for a Void Scout Rifle like the Royal Chase. And then in your kinetic slot, you're going to want either a pulse rifle or an SMG to take care of the anti-barrier. And remember to put those anti-barrier gloves back on. And then for your heavy slot, you can go with either Anarchy or Xenophage. Okay, so I think that covers the build. Let's get into the gameplay. Okay, so in the first room, you're going to have a few different fallen enemies to take care of. One of which being an overload captain who's particularly annoying. The way I approached this was to stay in this first tunnel and then use my scout rifle and sniper to pick off all of the red bar enemies, and then go for the champion either with my scout rifle or my grenade, which will disrupt him. Keep in mind that there's also a sniper vandal up in the top right who can be a little bit annoying, so you want to play your angles so you don't get sniped by him. Also pay special attention to the dregs throwing those shock grenades because those will really hurt you. You'll notice in this Lost Sector, I use those dustfield grenades really often to disrupt the champions. It's super effective, and it's really nice to get those grenades back every time you do it. In this next room, you have your first opportunity to free some of your buddies who are going to be along with you the rest of the Lost Sector. What I do here is to break the cage open, and then throw another dust field grenade to trap all of the Vex and then get a shadow dive. Okay, in this room, you're going to have a couple red bars and then a void shielded Minotaur. This is where I use my sniper to break his shield and then kill him with a sword. Okay, in this room, you're going to have 3 more opportunities to free your allies by breaking open those cages, so that's always the first thing that I do, in addition to sniping the hobgoblins to take them out of the picture, so I only really have to deal with the red bars. I like to usually play from this back angle to take out all of the red bars on the other side of the map, while my allies are killing the guys to my right. In all of my different runs, that seemed to be the most efficient way to get this done. Okay, now we have our Cyclops appearing. This is a great opportunity to use our sniper rifle to take him out right away. Be careful because those purple blasts will definitely kill you if they hit you directly. Now we just have a few more red bars to kill, and then we have to start taking care of our first anti-barrier champions, the hobgoblins. So here, the trick is to try to get the hobgoblins to pop their bubble shield so that you can go break it, and then kill them afterwards. If you're using Lament, what you want to do is hold your block to charge up the anti-barrier attack, and then break the shield and try to go for the kill as quickly as you can before they're able to bring that barrier back up. Now in this particular run, I didn't have that Lucent Blade mod slotted, which would be really helpful against this guy to get my block back a little bit faster. As you can see here, I had a little trouble against this first hob because I didn't have my block back up, so I couldn't use the anti-barrier attack. By the way, the combo with Lament that you want to do most of the time is to hold block and then do 3 light attacks and then a heavy attack. That seems to deal the most damage. Okay, with this room completed, we're on to the boss room. So before the boss spawns, we're going to have to deal with a few red bars, and one of the most annoying enemies in the whole thing, which is the Wyvern. You have to be really careful about him. What I did is just try to play my distances, because if you get in melee range, he'll often just one-hit kill you. So I found it better to stay back and hit him with my scout rifle or sniper rifle. You'll notice that I use this little entrance for cover for the majority of the fight. It's one of the better spots in my opinion, because you can always retreat really far back if you absolutely need to. Okay, with the Wyvern out of the picture, now we can go back into the room and the boss will start spawning. I've tried this a couple different ways, sometimes throwing my super to kill the ads in front, sometimes trying to use it for the boss, and I'm not really sure what the best method is here. Typically I would end up just using it for more boss damage, since he's kind of hard to hit with those shields rotating around him. As you can see here, those Minotaurs with the torch cannons are definitely not something you want to take lightly. What I try to do is bait them into this hallway and then use my grenades to stun them, and then go for the kill as quickly as I can. You'll notice during the fight that the boss will spawn champions every so often. I believe it might be one champion for every third of his health, but I didn't really pay that close of attention. Just know that you're going to have a few different champions to kill throughout the boss fight, and if you want to get the maximum rewards, I think you have to kill all of them, including even after you kill the boss, if you still have one up. So for this phase, I'm mostly just trying to DPS the boss a little bit whenever he allows me to with his shield rotating. He's pretty annoying and it's kind of hard to get close to him, I did try to sword him from time to time, but he deals so much melee damage that it would often just one-shot you, and with that attrition mod, you have to be careful because you might not always be at full health, so you really do have to be careful, and you have to pick up those healing orbs anytime you have a chance to. One thing you'll notice here is that the timing with those overload minotaurs can be kind of tricky. You have to stun them and try to kill them right away, and if you realize that you're not going to kill them in time before their stun wears off, it's better to just retreat and try to restun them as opposed to trying to finish the kill sometimes. It's a really tricky timing thing, and you can see me mess it up a few times here. So right here, I'm just trying to bait him into the hallway so I can take him on 1v1 and not have to worry about the boss. And with the Minotaur dead, we're now back to dealing boss damage. And you notice here, I still have my super. I definitely could have thrown it earlier in the fight. I kind of forgot about it on this run. But generally speaking, it's okay to throw it much earlier than I did. You'll notice here I did try to go for a sniper play against the Overload Minotaur, but the thing is his health comes back so quickly if you don't kill him right away, that I found it just really wasn't worth it, and I was just kind of wasting ammo that I could maybe use on the boss instead. So instead I tried to bait him back into this corner again so I could just kill him with the sword. And right there, you have to have a little faith that the grenade's going to do its job. Sometimes it's really scary when he starts shooting at you and he's standing in that grenade and still hasn't been staggered. So I could have also been using my scout rifle to deal that disruption damage a little bit faster, but I just had faith that the grenade would do the job. And finally we're back to the boss damage phase, and he's allowing me to finally get some crits on him. This is a really annoying boss because your allies are often aggroing him so that he's turned the wrong way and you can't really see his face. But then the shields are also in the way most of the time, so I hadn't really found a great way to kill him quickly. I do think that either Anarchy or Xenophage here would be really nice. I just wanted to show you guys how a different kind of build can work here, since I was using Anarchy and Xenophage for my last two Lost Sector guides. And with the boss dead, now we just have to worry about our last Overload Minotaur, who we're going to burn down quickly with a combo of our grenade and our sword. And there you have it, there's the Bunker E15 completion. So this one wasn't all that hard, but I did feel like it took a little longer than some of the other ones. My average clear time was somewhere around the 8-minute mark, and like I said earlier, I definitely think you could do this a little faster with some different weapon options. I just wanted to show you a different build that we hadn't used already for our other Lost Sector clears, just to give you a little bit more variety. Let me know in the comments though, what builds have you been using to clear this the fastest? On the 1250 version, I was using a sword pretty much the whole time and it was super fast and easy, but on the 1280, it seems like you die to melee damage so much faster that I actually felt like all those deaths were kind of slowing me down. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm creating a playlist on YouTube with all these different Lost Sectors in it, so if you haven't seen one yet that you'd still like to clear, be sure to check out the playlist. If you're new here and you like these kind of guides, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next videos. And also feel free to join our community Discord. We have an awesome group of over 6,000 people and it might be a really cool place for you to make some friends to play Beyond Light with. That's all for now. Catch you guys next time.